bookish. My name is Olivia, and what do you know? We have some natural light coming in today. Apologies for my absence the past couple of weeks. It's been a bit chaotic. This end, we have the Small Matter of World Book Day, and I'm a librarian, so I have to go full out for that kind of thing. And it was my little sister's getting married at the end of the month. I've been organising a hen party. It is just been a bit crazy, but I am back today, thank you. I hope you're sticking with me. Welcome back. And today I am here for a bit of a belated February wrap-up. This video will talk about all the books I read in February, and not long after this, and quite conveniently in exactly the same position while I'm wearing exactly the same outfit, you will also get my March TBR, which I'm going to film straight after this, so you'll probably get it within a couple of days of each other. So let's talk in more bookish talk. Let's talk about February. In February, I read a grand total of, I read 7 books in February, check me out. And they range from everything from a 3-star, I had a couple of 5 stars, lots of 4 stars, 3 stars to 5 stars, with some, I think that probably potentially could be up there with the best of the year. Just saying, okay? But let's get to cracking. Let's go for them in the lowest to highest. Okay, let's go from the lowest to highest. So the first book I read is considered by many a YA classic, and that was The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I just heard so much about this, and I was just desperate. Let me straighten you up a little bit. There's all my books. I was just desperate to read it. It's one of those classics that I haven't read, so I was just really keen to do so. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was good. I gave it a 3-star. The only reason I gave it a 3-star is, you know, as much as it was, you know, a really good read, and I can see now why Nicola Yoon's so popular and why she gets so much response, I am not the target market for books like The Sun Is Also a Star. I'm 35 years old now. I'm not the target market for that. So it was enjoyable, 3 stars. I'd highly recommend it. I'd be quite interested to see how actually they did it as a film, because the timelines were quite unusual as well. So that is where I started off. Let's carry on to 4 stars. Next up was, it was an ARC when I read it. It's now out. It's a book that I didn't know anything about, but I was curious. Don't Read the Comments by Eric Smith. Now, the thing that got me interested in this one was the element of, one of the central themes of it was the use of social media, and kind of how that can be really good and how that can be really bad, and that's what got me intrigued, and I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I love the dynamic between the 2 main characters. I love the way it addresses how social media can be positive, it can be negative. People can turn it to be such ways and turn it to be other ways that aren't necessarily true, which for the world we live in today is just really important for people to be aware of and to consider. And to do it through kind of social media and online platforms, but from the point of gaming, because our main female character is like this massive gamer, and the male protagonist is kind of a fan of the girl's gaming skills, but she games under an alias. So, like, you know, to do that as well, which is so popular, I think is a really good read. This is one I've already got in from my library because I'm so intrigued by it, and I think my students will be too. So that was 4 stars for Don't Read the Comments by Eric Smith. Excuse me. Next up, I hope you're not expecting a plot synopsis from me with this one, because if I tried, I probably couldn't give you one. Reverie by Pyro Masala. 4 stars for it. Possibly one of the most weirdest, confusing, bonkers books I've ever read in my entire life. But God, it was good. It was amazing. The drama, the tension, the fabulousness. A main character who I believe identifies as gay, who discovers he has magic, and he gives off that magic by having rainbows coming out of his hands. You probably couldn't get a gayer book if you tried, and I loved every second of it. A lot of talk on this before I read it was about how confusing the plotline is. And it gets crazy, but it's another one of those books that if you can stay with it and you can power on and power through it, it is out of this world. It is one to the point that although I couldn't, you know, I think I put on Goodreads after I'd read it, I hope no one's expecting a review because I have no idea what just happened, but whatever it was amazing. This is definitely what I want to come back to because I just thought it was fabulous. Ryan Lasala, I would be fascinated to read anything that guy writes now, if that is where he's going to start. Give Reverie a chance. If you try it. I also did kind of mixed read and audiobook. So trust me, give Reverie a chance. If you can get your head around it, it's absolutely phenomenal. And I couldn't recommend it enough. My other 4-star for February, I already published a full review on, so I will link it either up there or down there, was Of Curses and Kisses by Sandy and Menon. I've made it public on this channel. I'm a member of Sandia's Street Team, the Sandia Sweethearts. I've been blessed, to have some amazing opportunities through that, including having a copy of this book as an ARC. I've had it for a couple of months now. I think I got it in December. And I love me a beauty of retelling, especially a Beauty and the Beast retelling. What I liked about this, although there was, or one of the standouts, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I said I talk about it in a review, one of the standout features of this book is, although there are magical elements, it doesn't completely rely on magic as part of the story. It's about, I don't know if I can say that because it's kind of a spoiler. It's Beauty and the Beast in all kinds of ways, but maybe not the ways you're going to expect. That's all I'm going to say. Check out my full spoiler review. Like I said, it's either up here or it's down here. It's absolutely somewhere. Yeah. I can't say any more than that because it's going to give out spoilers. Right, I had some amazing 5 stars during February as well. Excuse me. Got starts of a cold. Sorry. The first was The Star Outside My Window by Angelique Q. Ralph. I apologise, I think that's how you say it. This book broke my heart. You have a young sister and brother at the heart of it, who the young girl is the narrator, and you see them essentially go to a foster home because something has happened to their mum and they don't know where their dad is. As this story unravels, all from the point of view of the little girl, and it's just, I'll talk about that in a second. You actually find out that their mum has died. And in stories that they tell from when they were children with their mother, she said, if ever I'm not here, you just have to look to the sky and I'll be the brightest star in the sky. So they are convinced that their mother is a star outside their window. Now, of course, to the other foster children, that means nothing. But as you kind of uncover it as a reader, there's suggestions of domestic abuse and domestic violence. We don't know anything about the dad, but he's not painted in a very good light. And it broke me. Absolutely broke me. I cannot tell you. I think one thing that Anjali Ralph does, and it's something that I've seen also in the books of John Boyne, who wrote The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, is the element of telling a story of children in a situation like this, in such a sensitive situation, but telling it from the point of view of the child. When I read The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, I knew exactly what happened in World War II. I knew exactly what happened in the Holocaust. I knew where that's... I didn't think the story was going to go there, but I could see when they were mentioning things that were a bit abstract, I knew exactly what was meant. This was the same. You can read into it, and as... The most stunning, simplistic writing, but they say the simplest things are the most beautiful things, and I can't recommend it enough. 5 stars for Anjali Ralph. That's the second book of hers I've read, and the second time I've given a 5-star for her. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. 2 books left. One of them is a non-fiction book, and I read this via audiobook. You'll know I love my Queer Eye on Netflix. I love Jonathan Van Ness. I love them all. They're all fabulous. So I have previously read Jonathan Van Ness's autobiography. I've read Tan's autobiography. So it was time I read Kurama Brothers' autobiography, which has the full story of Kurama, my story of embracing purpose, healing and hope. Get this on audiobook. I did exactly the same with Tan and Jonathan Van Ness's autobiographies. I listened to them on audiobook. It's them narrating it, and it's so good. I can't even tell you to hear that voice. Kurama has been through some shit. I even tell you, Kurama has been through some shit that I would never have known if I hadn't have picked this up. It is just absolutely brilliant. His sense of humour, his sense of pride, his sense of loyalty, the power to change, the power to embrace hope. I cannot recommend it enough. Tan, Jonathan and the Kurama have all got 5 stars from me. Anthony, I know you've done a recipe book. Bobby, I'm waiting for your furniture book. Come on, boys, I need this to be 5 stars as well. I need a full 5 stars for the Fab Five. Please get Kurama's autobiography. And the last one I read this month, which was probably one of the most stunning pieces of writing I've ever read by miles, was Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed. Now, the reason I picked this up is because I knew towards the end of February, which I read this towards the end of Feb, it's now mid-March, I knew that I was going to an event at my local Waterstones here in the UK, and I was going to meet Becky Albertelli and Aisha Saeed because they were promoting their new book, Yes, No, Maybe So. And I was like, I will be able to wax lyrical to Becky Albertelli about all her books. Simon, love Simon, you know, Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Gender was the one that got me back into this love of YA. I can wax lyrical. I didn't want to not be able to say anything to Aisha Saeed. So I read Written in the Stars, and it's one of the most powerful pieces of writing I've ever read. It's up there with Rose Interrupted by Patrice Lawrence as just a punch in the gut kind of read. It's a story I've read, kind of a general plot line that I've read before. You have a young Muslim girl living in America. Parents are quite conservative when it comes to their Muslim values. Something happens and they take their daughter off to India, Pakistan, I'm not sure if it's India or Pakistan, to have an arranged marriage. But what is so different about Written in the Stars is that it was so horrible to read at times. I felt so much for this young girl and the situation she was in. It's done masterfully by so many people, but I just couldn't get over the not brutality, because that suggests something else, but the kind of the honesty and the frankness of it. And particularly for me, who I work with, I've openly said this to you, I work with a lot of students from Muslim backgrounds, some of them from quite conservative Muslim backgrounds, and to think that this could happen to them blew my mind. It was so stunningly done, proper punch in the gut, but something that is so necessary in our society today. And I can say, having now been to the event where I met Becky Albertelli and Aisha Saeed, that's me with them, I said to her, I can't get over how good it was. It was stunning, and she was like so lovely. I had the loveliest talk with her, and Becky Albertelli's a goddess, but that's another story. Yeah, so that's the 7 books I read in February. Brilliant books. 3 stars, 4 stars and 5 stars, and also references to some events I went to as well. Thank you for sticking with me in this. I'd love to hear if you've read any of these books or what you have read recently. Give me, you know, you gotta love some recommendations. Hit me up down below. It's a pleasure to see you, BookTube, and always a joy. This has been Olivia on Stagey Bookish. I will see you, awesome folks, on my next video. Bye!